Thank you, Doan. You are certainly like a brother. Thank you for the water, Andy. Wow. Patricia, I want to thank you and everyone here at Irish America, Neil, for giving me the honor and privilege to be the keynote speaker here tonight. I'd like to congratulate tonight's honorees. I looked at all of your comments as this was going through and all of your comments about being Irish. Tonight is your night, and so I'd like to offer you a toast. Congratulations, you worked very hard. Sláinte. And to all the honorees who've gone before you. Friends and family, thank you for coming tonight and always being here for me. I want to especially thank my niece Katie. This is the third time she's come to something that her brother's been at a hockey game, and I will not forget that in my will. I'm really honored and humbled to be here tonight for Irish America. It's a big connection for me. It's a magazine my mother's read over the years, and it's connected to my mother and dad, Bridget and James Murray. My mother, who's 94 and still with us, thank God, hails from County Galway. Up Galway, Patricia. The Sligo girls don't like when you say up Galway. Anyways, my dad's family hails from County Cork. They came here during the potato famine. And I grew up not far from here in the Dyton Street Housing Projects, which is at the other tip of Manhattan. I was raised with 5 brothers, 3 sisters, in an apartment that was pretty small bedrooms. And I think the most notable thing was the single bathroom in the morning, which made it more like Grand Central Station. And it made me very smart when I was younger, because the older kids, if you were at the front of the line, would just smack you and put you to the back, so you had to get up early. I was at a charity benefit about, 10, 15 years ago, and there was a picture of the housing project I grew up in, and someone sitting next to me said, "Can you imagine growing up in that place?" I was like, "Why, yes." I did, you idiot. Anyways, my childhood memories of where I grew up was just great. It's a true melting pot full of rich and beautiful diversity. My mother's Uncle Pete would come by on Friday nights and play the accordion, and everybody's door would be open. You'd have people from Cuba, you'd have people from Greece, Albania. We had people down the hall who were in the Holocaust. We had Jewish people, Protestants, Catholics, all there listening to music. I can still hear the music in my head to this day and hear the laughter of some people who are no longer with us. In those days, everybody's door was open. There wasn't anybody locked. And I remember my mom saying, and I still don't believe that I believe this, but she would say, "Don't lie to me, stick your tongue out, I can tell if you're lying." I actually thought she could. And other kids did too, right? They're like, "Geez, my mom's so good at that." Meanwhile, it was just the neighbors snitching on you, and nobody ever knew that. I honestly believe most of what I've learned, I learned between 10 and 12 from my parents. Unfortunately, it took me 35 to 40 years to realize that I learned that. I mean, how many of you have said, "I will never do that if I have kids," and then you hear yourself saying, "Oh my God, that sounds just like my mom." My parents taught me Irish curiosity, creativity, determination, common sense, and most important, hospitality, integrity, and generosity. I have to admit, it was sprinkled with a big teaching and a little bit of Irish guilt as well. My mother had to be one of the most creative people I knew. She was able to take metal spoons, shoes, brushes, and she'd, double use them as, weapons for good tools for good wallops. The Yankees are coming up this season and they're having problems with pitching. I think they should talk to my mother. She could freaking fling a brush and hit her target like, "Oh!" And they're like, "Oh, she got him." Anyways, the other piece I love about my mother is I don't think she thought I had any common sense. After a nice beating with a good metal spoon, you'd cry and she'd say, "Why are you crying? Do you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. You want something to cry about?" No, I'm good. I'm done. We're good. We're very good. You can let that go now. Where I grew up, there was a number of Catholic schools. There was Good Shepherd, Our Lady Queen of Martyrs, and St. Jude, Friend of the Hopeless. Well, I guess you know where I went to. St. Jude, Friend of the Hopeless. And what I loved about my mother is when she'd take us to school, she'd tell the nuns, and my mother had a brogue, and she'd say, "Sister, if my kids do anything, don't touch them. I'll take care of it for you." And you might think that was a good thing. No. I think my siblings would much prefer a beating by a nun than my mother. But that wasn't really a choice. And my dad was a great guy. He had so much common sense. I remember I was in 6th grade, and in 6th grade in Catholic school, they give you that sex education film that's like, I can't believe you're showing this to me, really? I'm not my mother. Anyways, you go through that whole thing, and then they're smart enough in the afternoon to go back to religion class and talk about the virginity of Mary. Okay. So stupid me, "Hello, sister, do you mean that conceptually or figuratively?" What? What did you say? You questioned the virginity of Mary, down to the principal's office. So they call my dad, and when you're a kid and you've done something terribly wrong, but you kind of don't know what the hell you did? It was one of those moments, I really don't know what I did wrong. So my father comes up, and he's this big 6'4" man who's very serious. And they're like, "Mr. Murray, I don't think your daughter knows about the virginity of Mary." And he's like, we'll tell her we're very sorry. This won't happen again. We're very sorry. Oh, we're very sorry. I'm like, okay, I guess we're very sorry. So we leave, and my dad laughs at me when we leave, and he says, "That was such a great question." But your pick of audience is terrible. What were you thinking asking the nuns that question? Anyway, I don't know, it just sticks in my head. This thing about hospitality with my parents really went beyond, Saturday night and card games, Friday night music. My older sister, Maureen, had a friend who had 2 kids, and she left them with us for a year. They were 2 and 4. And I don't know, I thought we had enough problems, but my father was like, "Well, you'll take them here and there." I'm like, "Why? They're not my kids." He's like, "Well, none of these kids are yours. You're going to do that anyway." But the generosity of my parents to do that, who does that today? And then when the woman came back, he was like, "Where are you going with these kids?" "Well, Dad, that's her kids." My dad was an active military man in World War II. He was active during Korea and Vietnam. He was a decorated person. He had 3 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star. Looking at my sister Donna for help. And a Silver Star. My dad wasn't in agreement with Vietnam, but he was very proud of my 2 brothers who signed up to go there. They were 18 and 19. He believed country right or wrong, if wrong to be put right, and he meant that with his sons as well. So then my brother Tom, who's the 3rd in line, who's about 6'6", goes down to sign up for the service, and he comes back and says, "I didn't get in." My dad's like, "Don't worry, I'll get you in, son." Well, my mother still has this look to this day that could kill. She's like, "James, if you get him in, please do not come back home. You will go with him now." Well, anyways, that put an end to that idea. So we didn't have to worry about that. So that was a great opportunity for me to grow up in this melting pot with all these different people. And then the neighborhood changed. Drugs came in, the Vietnam War came in, people went to war. Some of them came back in coffins. Some of them came back with the physical and mental scars of war. Drugs came in the neighborhood, we lost people. Young kids, 16 years old. I remember Kevin O'Rourke, Paula Hart, young, wonderful people who, much the same way as Vietnam, wound up in coffins. My dad passed away. My neighbor next door to me, who was like a grandmother, passed away. And then I worked in Grand Union, which, by the way, I had to give up. When I went to Pete Marwick, I had to take a pay cut from Grand Union, but that's another story for anyone here who works at Pete Marwick. So I come home, and Augie D'Agostino, who lived down the hallway, was shot in the head. Someone robbed him and killed him for what seemed like $5. And I missed that situation by about 10 minutes, which made my mother want to move out of the neighborhood. I was too stupid to think that it mattered. And so we moved to Riverdale. And I don't know if any of you remember the Jeffersons. Moving on up to the east side, that was us. We were moving on up. And I went to Manhattan College, went to Pete Morwick, Jasperette's, Morgan Stanley, CS, and now Bridgewater. And I know the lion's share of the honorees here tonight are from Wall Street, and I really can't really tell you much about what it is to work on Wall Street, because you know that as well as I do, looking at the esteemed list of people that are up here. I was asked by Patricia, do you think people still have the opportunity you did? And my answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. My father's family came over during the potato famine on boats where they were, basically for weeks on a boat, treated not much better than cattle. And after that terrible voyage, got off the boat and it said, Irish need not apply. I don't think I had it that hard, and I don't think anyone else in this room did either. I just can't imagine that. What I can say is the determination, the resiliency, the grit of yours and my ancestors to get us here today, really against all odds when you think about it, is a testament to the Irish who came here before us, who made this country, who shaped this country, who shaped its cities into the great nation it is, and who tore down every one of those fucking signs, Irish need not apply. And they didn't tear it down by complaining. They weren't on CNN. They weren't on the news. They tore it down through hard work and integrity, and they never complained. And God bless them for that. So I don't believe it was a lot harder for me. I'm not saying it was easy. When I first graduated from school, I read that it was 0.5 senior women in business. I don't know who that 0.5 person was. God bless her. Maybe we were into other things those days. I don't know. Anyways, it's now 17%. And I don't know whether to cry or do the happy dance, but Jesus, what a lot of progress. And I think anyone can do that. And I thank God, literally, every day for the opportunities I've been given. And I think it's time for me to give back. But I got to tell you, I started wondering, what does success really mean? And is it about prosperity? And there are 3 things I'm working on for me personally. I'm not saying what you should work on, but for me. First and foremost is to be present for family and friends, which I'm embarrassed to tell you I haven't always been. I have a very wonderful role model here, my sister Donna, who wants me to say she's 20 years younger. And she's been a role model for our family and an inspiration in terms of making family and friends most important and being present in the moment. And has been an inspiration to me, and I can only hope to be somewhat a little bit more like her, because I have really failed in many ways on that. Hi, how are you? Come on in. Sounds like one of my other siblings are here. I look at the younger generation, the millennials, and I look at how they are so into work-life balance. And I think it's terrific, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I had breakfast with one of them at 6 in the morning. They were looking for mentorship from me for work-life balance, and I said, look at the time. I'm really not your woman. Trust me, I'm not your woman for this. The 2 other things I'd like to work on is, one is, and I mean this with the utmost respect, Irish Catholic guilt. And don't get me wrong, I am incredibly proud to be an Irish American Catholic, but I never hear of Italian guilt, Spanish guilt, Protestant guilt. I hear of Jewish guilt, but not Russian Jewish guilt. It's like we have a nationality and religion reserved for the Irish Catholic guilt. I'd like to give a little bit of that away, just a little bit. You don't think so? Okay. And then last thing, I have to say this. This up here. Anyways.
Give me that, Eileen, because that's for you, but I want to open it for you.
Oh, I thought you were trying to kill me. Throughout my entire career, and I mean this with all due respect to the men in the room, It's a phenomenon that a book's been written about. It's called mansplaining. And I got to tell you, for most of my career, I say something in a room, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. The guy says the same thing. Oh, my God, what a great idea. Where'd you come up with that? Oh, my God, let's talk about it. Let's embrace it. What a great idea. And I think to myself, are you kidding me? Now, I used to get annoyed. I really don't care anymore at this point in my career. But I do think that we can all help each other when someone has an idea to be like, come on, it's that person's idea. I think it'll get those percentages up of the 0.5 to the 17 to maybe we can even get to how many graduates we have, which would be great. So anyways, that's why I'm focused on mansplaining. And there's a good book out on it, as I heard. I'm not reading it because I lived it, so I'm really not spending my time reading that book or many other books that come my way. All that said, I want to thank you again tonight for everybody coming here. I really, really feel honored to be part of what is my background, my ancestry. I'm so proud of all of you and what I've seen written up here to be part of this evening, and I hope you all are proud of yourselves. So, all that said, I'd ask you, if you haven't had too much to drink, and if you had, still get up anyway, to stand up and raise a glass to toast each and every person in this room that is Irish, of Irish descent, or perhaps let's pretend it's St. Patrick's Day, and we all pretend we're Irish. Sláinte, God bless, safe home. Thank you.